What is up, guys? Welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Kevin Crates. This is the channel where we go over to crypto news followed by 5 charts every day. Today we're looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, KSM, SXP, and Link. And as always, timestamps are down in the description below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn that bell on to catch notifications for all daily uploads. The markets are full of bullish energy today, guys. Bitcoin above 46,000, Ethereum above 3,100, and we see the entire market reflecting this bullish momentum that, in my opinion, has been entirely generated by Ethereum. For those of you who are new here, this has become one of my favorite websites to check every day. Etherchain.org/burn keeps track of all the Ethereum being burned. You can see this timer behind me refreshes the website every 10 to 15 seconds. And at the time of filming, we are now sitting at 20,121.4 Ethereum burned. So if we take into consideration at the time of filming, Ethereum is trading around 3,130. So let's round that up to 3,150. times 20,121.4 equals $63,382,410 worth of Ethereum burned and removed from circulation. And for those of you not new here who are wondering why I keep showing how much Ethereum has been burned every day, because in my opinion, this is the reason the market has come back to life in the way that it has. Ethereum is very clearly carrying Bitcoin as well as the entire market, and we're going to dive into the charts in a moment, take a closer look at price action, talk about all that in more detail. But as far as the rest of the market goes, everything is still looking green for the time being, and there is just so much opportunity out there. Looking at Bitcoin's daily chart, let's zoom in here and turn on our notes from last time. As far as price action goes, Bitcoin is just flying. I mean, conversion line, baseline, lagging span, we talked about all that popping up. Bitcoin on the daily as well as Ethereum on the daily are pretty much setting up for potential breakouts. Our target for Bitcoin's breakout is still around 48.7. But if we jump to the 4-hour chart, turn off all our notes. This is Bitcoin's 4-hour chart, and this is Ethereum's 4-hour chart. Ethereum still very clearly outperforming Bitcoin, still on this absolutely insane uptrend with no signs of slowing down and just carrying Bitcoin. Let's look at some shorter time frames. Let's jump to the 30-minute time frame. Looking at Bitcoin's 30-minute chart, we don't really see a lot of consistency. We see back here on July 20th when it was trading around 29.5, it did shoot up above the 200-600 EMA, kind of rode the 600 EMA, shot up in price above the 200 EMA, kind of hung around there, drops right back down below the 200 EMA, rides that 600 EMA, and then around here we just see choppy movement, especially this drop here the other day. Now if we compare that to Ethereum's 30-minute chart, what do we see? We see consistency. We see Ethereum trading around $1,700 July 20th, shoots up above the 200 EMA and never drops below the 200 EMA on the 30-minute chart. Let's take a look at this drop here the other day. We did talk about this price target on Twitter as well as in the video yesterday that we talked about Ethereum retracing to that 200 EMA price target. I was a little surprised to see it hang out there as long as it did. So as always, we talk about possible price targets below that. We looked at the 45-minute time frame, but Ethereum did land on that 200 EMA. It did ride it, and then it did have that bounce in price. Bitcoin mirrored that action. Bitcoin did not really bounce off anything here, at least on the 30-minute time frame, kind of just hung around. And as soon as Ethereum gave it that green light, Bitcoin bounced in price. Ethereum is very clearly outperforming Bitcoin, but not just outperforming Bitcoin, it is carrying Bitcoin and the entire market. And if we jump to the 4-hour chart and compare it to Bitcoin's 4-hour chart, not great, a little choppy, some decent action, but again, Ethereum's 4-hour chart is just on an absolute uptrend. So again, I do not understand why I keep seeing people talk about Bitcoin, 2017 Bitcoin, 2019 Bitcoin. Bitcoin's going to run into resistance. Is Bitcoin going to crash the market? Bitcoin is no longer in charge here. This is Ethereum's market for the time being. When that changes, my first indication will be on the 4-hour chart when Ethereum possibly challenges or runs into that Kumo cloud. But we are seeing no signs of that. Ethereum is showing no signs of slowing down on this 4-hour time frame, and it is just on a constant uptrend. And again, for anybody new here, we're going to jump to the 1-week chart. We talk about this all the time. Look at Ethereum's 1-week chart. Price action is pushed back above that baseline. It's far away from the Kumo cloud. This is a very bullish setup for Ethereum, especially with that weekly candle close the other day. Ethereum is set to pump from here if it continues the way that it's been going. Bitcoin, on the other hand, it was looking terrible for quite some time. It managed to get that relief bounce, and then thanks to Ethereum, it is now headed back to potentially get above that baseline. And if Bitcoin and Ethereum are both back above that baseline, that conversion line and baseline cross, this is a very different looking market than it's been in months. Look at that stochastic RSI finally curving up on Bitcoin as well as Ethereum. And look at how long it was hanging down there. As far as price action goes, in my opinion, we're going to jump back to Bitcoin's one-day chart. This is no longer Bitcoin that's in charge of the market. Everything depends on Ethereum pumping, and the rest of the market will continue to pump. As soon as Ethereum starts to show some signs on this 4-hour chart that it is slowing down, that will be our indication that maybe Bitcoin and the rest of the market are going to start to trend back down in price action. But for the time being, Ethereum still looks great. So we're going to jump back to Bitcoin. We're going to come back to Ethereum in a few minutes and talk about Ethereum in more detail. But let's turn on our notes from before and talk about price targets for Bitcoin. Price targets for Bitcoin are pretty straightforward as far as a breakout goes, but let's talk about pullback scenarios in case at any point Ethereum does stop carrying the market the way that it is. So since Bitcoin has gotten so high, first pullback target will be around 45,000. Below that, I kind of watch for that baseline to come up, be right around there. We might find a bit of relief around 44.5. Below that, I keep my eye on this support level here that it's already been trending around. Let me just grab that price target. Let me just delete that. Sorry about that. Grab that price target around 43.2. So the initial pullback around 45,000. Below that, bit of support, but not really, around 44.4, and below that, 43.2. Below that, price targets are pretty much still the same. Keep my eye on around 42.5 as the pullback below that. Below that, 40,000. And the main one that we always talked about is around 38.7. But since price action's moved up a bit, we'll kind of move that to around 39,000 since the moving average on the daily has probably moved as well. Yeah, you can see it right there, around 39,000, maybe a little bit below, around 38.9, but 39,000 really. So as far as price targets go for Bitcoin, breakout target 48.7. And again, breakout, if I turn off all these notes, Bitcoin and Ethereum are pretty much primed for a breakout on the daily here. We just got to see that lagging span point up, price action move out a bit, conversion line curve up on Bitcoin and Ethereum, and they pretty much both look prepared to break out on the daily. Now, that doesn't necessarily guarantee they're going to break out, but they're pretty much primed for the opportunity. So breakout target for the time being is going to be around 48.7. But to be honest, Bitcoin's moved up very slowly and gradually. So we're going to put one more here around 53,000. Let me move that just to make sure it's correct. Yeah, around 52.7. So Bitcoin gets above 48.7. I keep my eye on 52.7. Let me just grab a price label. So breakout targets for Bitcoin. 48.7, the initial one, but above that, I keep my eye on 53.3. As far as pullback targets for Bitcoin, I'll be keeping my eye on 45,000, below that 44.4, below that 43.2, and then below that 42.5 to 40,000. And on the lowest end, I'll be keeping my eye on 38.9 for Bitcoin. Looking at Ethereum's daily chart, let's zoom in here, turn on our notes from last time. As far as price action goes, Ethereum is pretty much primed for a breakout, just like Bitcoin. Lagging span, conversion line, baseline, everything is out. That conversion line and baseline just have to curve upwards, and Ethereum is good to break out towards some of these higher price targets of around 35.6 and potentially even higher from there. But the 4-hour time frame is my main indication for Ethereum. If it starts to show any signs of slowing down, I'm expecting to see it on the 4-hour time frame. And if we jump to the 30-minute time frame, since I'm seeing a lot of consistency on this 30-minute time frame, I've kind of drawn this line here. I'd imagine even a pullback to around 30.22 is still not a big deal. Wouldn't even be surprised to see it kind of trend in this area, bounce off that moving average again, and then press up in price from there. Or it might just press up in price from here. And the 30-minute time frame looks great. You see here it did dip below for a little bit, but not much. Even here it dipped below, but for not too long. And on the 45-minute time frame, I'm keeping an eye on that as well. If the 30-minute time frame starts to lose that 200 EMA, it's still on the 45-minute time frame has not dropped below the 200 EMA. I mean, Ethereum is just showing such a consistent uptrend and pump on pretty much almost every time frame that I would not be surprised to see Ethereum keep pumping in price. And again, guys, this is just Ethereum carrying the market, in my opinion. I know there's a lot of people still talking about Bitcoin, but I really don't know how to make it more visibly clear comparing Bitcoin on this 4-hour time frame to Ethereum, as well as that 30-minute time frame, as well as the weekly time frame. I mean, again, guys, Ethereum on the weekly looking very bullish. Bitcoin looking bullish, but it's got to get above that baseline. I mean, Bitcoin's got to get above 46.8, but it's pretty much there as long as Ethereum keeps pumping. And when we look at this 4-hour chart, when we look at this 30-minute chart, I still don't see any signs of Ethereum slowing down. It may pull back here and it may jump off that target that we just talked about down here. And again, that's really not a big deal. Ethereum can bounce off that 30-minute time frame, go up in price. Ethereum is looking primed to keep pumping. And as soon as we see some sign of it slowing down, we'll see it on this 4-hour time frame. As soon as Ethereum challenges that Kumo cloud on the 4-hour time frame, that'll be a big change from what we've seen from July 20th. So Ethereum is still showing no signs of slowing down or stopping this pump anytime soon. So let's turn on our notes and talk about price targets as if at any point Ethereum does start to show signs of slowing down. So price targets for Ethereum on the 4-hour chart that might give me some indication that this pump is coming to a close would be more down here around 29.14, right outside the Kumo cloud. A bounce there is still possible. You can see in this area here, it did kind of approach the Kumo cloud. It really wasn't a big deal, caught itself and bounced. But if it does dip into the Kumo cloud and head towards 28.10, that'd be some indication that this pump might be coming to a close. And below that, I keep my eye on this moving average around 26.45. Let's jump back to the daily chart. Looking at the daily chart, turning off the notes, Ethereum, in my opinion, is pretty much primed for a breakout. We see here conversion line, baseline, lagging span. It's just got to push a little bit higher up in price. It could even consolidate in this range. You can see here stochastic RSI on the daily does need to come down a bit, but on the 4-hour chart, you can see here stochastic RSI nice and low, curving down for the time being. But if anything, now it's got room to pump. So if we jump back to the 1-day chart, as far as price targets go, breakout target for Ethereum for the time being, 35.64. Pullback targets in the immediate future that I'm keeping an eye on, 30,022 and 29.87. Bounces on the 30-minute time frame that would be, and still very bullish. Below that, I keep my eye on 29.14, just outside the Kumo cloud on the 4-hour chart. And below that, I would keep my eye on 28.10, and that would be a little bit below the Kumo cloud now on the 4-hour chart, and that would be an indication that possibly this pump is going to be slowing down. And below that, I keep my eye on 26.45 for Ethereum. Looking at Kusama's daily chart, KSM, let's turn on our notes from last time we talked about Kusama. The reason we are looking at Kusama today is the same reason we were looking at SXP and Link. These are plays that have not fully recovered. A lot of the market is looking so much more bullish than it has in months. Kusama, Link, SXP is looking a little better today, but for the most part, these are plays, in my opinion, with a lot of potential if Ethereum continues to pump the market. Kusama is currently $220. Kusama has the potential to get back above $300, and it is yet to push into the Kumo cloud when, if we look across the market, so many things have pushed into the Kumo cloud on the daily. So I will be keeping a very close eye on Kusama's daily chart. As far as price targets go, I want to see it trade towards $230, show some strength towards $225, $230. That'll give me some indication on the daily chart that Kusama has now entered the Kumo cloud. That'll give me a bit of confidence that it could push towards $245, where it will run into resistance on that moving average. If Kusama can trade above $245, build some strength around $250, that'll give me some confidence that Kusama has the potential to shoot for around $300 or above. But all of that is depending on Ethereum continuing to pump the market, which I'm not expecting to slow down anytime soon, but we always have to be prepared for it. So if at any point we see Ethereum start to dip back in price, I'll be keeping my eyes on some of these pullback targets for Kusama, initially being around 191. It's currently trading around 220. It does have a bit of support in this range around 205, which I guess would be my first initial pullback target. But below that, I keep my eye on 191, and then below that 152. And I'm going to leave these lower price targets out of the question for now, because unless there's a massive market crash, I'd be surprised to see Kusama drop below 152. So price targets for Kusama, I want to see strength above 230, and then I'll give me some confidence it can push for 245. If it can claim 245 with strength, trade around 250, Kusama is the opportunity to push towards the outside of the Kumo cloud around $300 and possibly higher from there. However, if the market starts to dip, I'll be keeping my eyes on 206, 191, and 152 for Kusama. Looking at SXP's daily chart, let's turn our notes on for SXP. And again, this is an example of what happens with price action when it shoots through that Kumo cloud. That lagging span is a bit of a ways to go for a full breakout, but price action does look very bullish for SXP. If we jump to the 4-hour chart here, you can see it's a little bit overextended, but still looking very bullish. Wouldn't be surprised for a pullback to this range here of around 2.7. But if Ethereum keeps pumping, there is no reason why SXP can't challenge some of these higher price targets. So as far as price targets go for SXP, $3 is its current resistance resistance. If it can trade above there, keep my eye out for 3.36, and above there 3.6, and on the higher end I keep my eye on $4. As far as pullbacks go, the initial pullback target I'm keeping an eye on is 2.74, below that 2.6, and below that 2.37, and on the lowest end 2.164 SXP. Looking at Link, Chainlink's daily chart, Link is pressed right up against the Kumo cloud with a possible breakout if Ethereum allows it. If we jump to the 4-hour chart, you can see here, Chainlink's chart, a little bit choppy, jumping into that Kumo cloud for a moment, but catching itself. So Link is looking potentially ready to push up in price, but again, it all depends on Ethereum. The 4-hour chart looks decent above the moving averages. Everything is setting up. It's still riding above that Kumo cloud on the 4-hour chart. Not as bullish as something like SXP's 4-hour chart. When you look at Link's 4-hour chart, it all still does look decent. And the fact that it didn't dip down all the way in that Kumo cloud is a good sign. So if we jump back to the 1-day chart, take a look at price targets for Link. Price targets for Link are pretty simple. It's got to get above 25.2. If it can manage to get above 25.2, then it's got the opportunity to push for 27.4. But as far as pullback targets go, it's got to stay above 23.7. That is where Link is the most bullish. It's currently trading around 23.8, so it's trying to stay in that bullish zone as long as Ethereum keeps pumping. Below that, I keep my eye on 23.22. Below that, I keep my eye on 22.4. And below that, I keep my eye on 20.5. And on the lowest end for Link, I keep my eye on 19.2. All right, folks, that's all for today. If there's any charts you want to look at in the future, leave it down in the comments below. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and turn that bell on to catch notifications for all daily uploads. If you're not following me on Twitter, KevinCrates_ on Twitter. I'm extremely active on there. Anytime you tweet at me, I will always tweet back at you. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. I'm out.